Hi, I'm Micah Clark. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to delve into an issue that particularly impacts East Indiana, but it actually is important to all Hoosiers. I want to read you a few stats to you before I introduce our guest, who you know well, by the way. But 4 years ago, Indiana allowed sports betting in the state. And in just 4 years, we have become one of the top states, the sixth highest state in the nation for sports betting. A year ago in December, for 1 month, Hoosiers spent $54.6 million on sports betting alone. Last year, we may have forgotten about this issue because it's been around so long. The state lottery, Indiana Hoosiers spent $1.74 billion on state lottery. That equates to $300 per adult in Indiana. We're the seventh highest state in the nation for gambling overall. Michigan to the north is fifth, Ohio is sixth, Illinois is ninth. Makes you wonder how much more gambling we can handle or hold when we are in such an area. But Indiana, here's the flip side of that. Indiana ranks 47th in the nation for the treatment of problem gambling, and yet we're one of the highest gambling states in the nation. Up to a third of gambling revenue comes from individuals with a gambling problem, and they equate to only 3 to 4% of the population. One person's gambling problem typically affects 5 to 10 other people in their life. 73% of problem gamblers also have an alcohol issue, and pathological gamblers or problem gamblers account for 50% of all casino revenues. So with me today is a good friend, Kathy Humbarger. You know her as a pro-life warrior, and rightly so. But Kathy is temporarily the head of a group now called Coalition for a Better Allen County. And this concerns bringing a casino into Northeast Indiana in the town of New Haven, which is a suburb of Fort Wayne. So Kathy, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Micah. We've been in the trenches for years and years and years, and it's good to be in the battle again with you.
Well, I didn't want to steal your thunder. I know you've got lots of stats and things, but tell us why you joined Coalition for a Better Allen County, became their spokesperson. What are the concerns? I know in some of the calls we've had, I feel a little bit like a fifth wheel because I don't live up there, and you've got a large group of business people, pastors, activists who are very concerned about how this would change the culture in Fort Wayne. So tell us, I guess, what led you to get involved in this?
Well, this isn't our first rodeo here in Northeast Indiana. 15 years ago, a casino floated the plan to locate a casino in downtown Fort Wayne. John Popp, who is a much respected businessman and advocate for Fort Wayne, formed a committee, and at that time we called it the Coalition for a Better Fort Wayne. And I was privileged to be on that committee. So we were able to beat back that effort to bring a casino to Fort Wayne. So when this issue came up, I had a couple of friends contact me, not knowing that I'd been part of the fight 15 years ago, and asked if I would come alongside and help them with this battle. And I immediately said yes. It's amazing what has happened in the gaming industry in the 15 years. It's gotten worse. With, as you pointed out, the online gambling and all of that goes with it. We are seeing more and more people be devastated, more families being shattered. And we can argue this on any front, including the economic front. I would just say in a soundbite, all that glitters is not gold.
Well, gambling does not create wealth. It transfers wealth. Then it transfers it from ordinary Hoosiers to out-of-state casino owners and to the state. I would argue the state government is one of the biggest gambling addicts in our state, in the nation. And you wave a dollar in front of... Yep.
This goes back, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this goes back to when the lottery was approved all those years ago. I remember being engaged in that conversation as well. And I think we can quickly see that is a voluntary tax on the poor. because statistics show that those who are least able to afford to gamble are those that engage
Right.
in this. And since the state and the government in general benefits from this, from these funds, you're exactly right. And the things that were going to be supported by those dollars coming in from gaming, we're addicted to them now. Where's that money
Yeah.
source going to come from?
Well, we remember back in '88, I believe it was, the lottery came in. We had all these promises that would change our schools, improve our schools, improve our roads, and we now have the fifth highest gas tax in the nation and one of the highest property taxes. So, which funds schools. So, I don't see the positives from a lot of the promises that were made. And I know there's a lot of promises being made up there in your area, and I've heard rumors of police officers thinking they're going to get new police cars, which they'll probably need because there's a link between crime and gambling.
Absolutely.
But it's almost a payoff in a sense. I don't want to say it's illegal. It's not, but it's a promise that I think that my biggest concern is that many of the government people supporting this are not looking at the social costs. They're looking at quick and easy money, and it's just not. First of all, I would say this: does the government really need more money? You know, Governor-elect Braun is talking about cutting our budget, cutting where we have waste in our budget. I think one of the best ways to make government more efficient is to starve them a little bit, and that forces them to be efficient. Throwing millions of dollars into local government in Fort Wayne and state government through a promised casino, I don't see the positive of it. In fact, I think there's probably some negatives with how that would affect local businesses, restaurants. When people have low amount of discretionary income right now, that's going to draw money away from other businesses out to the casinos. Is that something you've seen in the research?
Yes, absolutely. And if we're looking at this from purely an economic standpoint, a statistic that has been studied and researched and vetted that I think is very telling is that for every dollar of revenue the government gets, $3 are spent in the negative outcomes of gambling. So we need to keep that in mind. Yeah, you might get $1 in, but what are you paying on the other side to clean up the mess that the gambling industry has created? Additionally, as far as local businesses are concerned, I'd say two things that are basic, and we could probably identify many more. One, we hear talk about employment, and the casinos are going to employ thousands of people. Well, in the first place, those jobs are primarily entry-level wages. So I'm sure that all of us have seen the outcome of not enough employees in that particular market to service the restaurants and the hotels and those kinds of industries or businesses that are already exist. So if the casino comes in and pays $1 or $2 more than those restaurants and hotels and other businesses that are scrambling for employees now, where are those employees going to come from? If the lack of employees for those jobs is intense now, it's only going to get worse. So there's that. And additionally, if we think that locating a casino in New Haven is going to bring business to the other restaurants and hotels and all of the other businesses that might benefit from increased traffic, we're missing a very important point. And that is that the casinos want to keep their patrons, their clients, in their bubble. So they will have restaurants, they will have hotel accommodations. So they want to keep them on. The gaming industry wants to keep the people that are gambling on their site. And where this is supposed to be located is not in the town of New Haven, not in Fort Wayne. It's on the outskirts by an interstate. So if we think that those people are going to somehow raise the profits and the traffic at the businesses that are already there, I think we're on a fool's errand.
I just went into a Steak and Shake not too long ago, and the lobby was closed because they didn't have enough employees. I've been to Taco Bell
Right.
like that too, where they don't have enough
Absolutely.
employees to have the lobby open. You have to go through the drive-through.
Yep.
And I hear this complaint all the time about we can't get enough employees. And
Right.
these are the same type
Absolutely.
of entry-level positions that they're so hard to get right now.
Right.
Tell us where we are in the process as far as there is a local component, but there's also a legislative component, and then maybe tell people why this is even coming up to begin with, because this is a transfer of a license. Walk
Right.
us through that if you
This-
can, because most people don't know what's going on who aren't up
Sure.
there.
This is a unique situation in that it's a transfer of a gaming license that is currently, the location is Rising Sun, Indiana, which is right across the river from Cincinnati. So when this casino was put in there, Ohio didn't have casino legislation that allowed casinos there. So once that happened, the business of the casino in Rising Sun, which is owned by Full House, that's the name of the organization that owns them, their people that came across the river started going to the casinos in Cincinnati and other areas in Ohio. So the profits, the activity at the Rising Sun Casino have dropped off, and so that's why Full House, the owner of the casino, wants to transfer the license from Rising Sun, Indiana, to New Haven, Indiana. So the law in Indiana gives the legislature the authority over the license. Some of the proponents say, well, we're not expanding gambling because this is a transfer. It's not an additional license. But the whole intent is to bring more people into the gaming industry as clients or patrons or customers, whatever the right term is. So this makes it a little different. However, the legislature, the Indiana House and Senate, are still the governing body that has to approve that transfer of the license. Interesting, and this will be taken up, I understand, in the 2025 session, which begins in January. So this is extremely important for everyone to understand. New Haven and Fort Wayne, our area, is represented by State Senator Dr. Tyler Johnson and by Representative Dave Heine. Both of those legislators have come out very vocally in opposition to transferring this license to New Haven. So that gives us an insight. These folks would want the best economically for their area because they represent it, yet they see that this is not the way to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds, because their caucus, their friends, would have to go against their wishes in order to move this legislation and allow this transfer. So with those two very well respected legislators saying this will not be good for our area, I have hope that the other legislators will listen to that. Now, the little hook in it for the other legislators is that they see that this is going to be a bigger tax income for the state if the volume of business goes up from what it is in Rising Sun and it moves to New Haven, and more people come, more people spend, more people lose. There will be increased taxes. So, but I'm hoping that does not outweigh the opposition, the vocal opposition of Senator Johnson and Representative Heine.
Well, you know, as a pro-life activist, Kathy, that the Hippocratic Oath, the very first sentence is "First, do no harm," and I really think legislators should pledge that sometimes too, because they have this lure of money, but they need to look at what cost that money comes. Because, like you said, the only way the state makes money is if people lose money. They're not buying a product and walking out with it.
They are going to lose money. The whole system is set up that way. I mean, why would the gaming industry want to open casinos and have gambling if they weren't going to make money? So the only way they can make money or for their customers to lose money.
I have a question just kind of off the top of my head. As I looked at some of the statistics about Indiana being such a high gambling state, we're not a large state. I know for years we were like the 5th highest. Now we're the 7th with the gambling. But our casino revenues or gambling revenues, have we so saturated? Are they, and now we have internet gambling. Does it make you wonder if some of the promises that this casino is going to be so phenomenal, when we've really saturated the gambling market quite a bit, are casino revenues going up or going down? Or is there a concern that we're bringing in kind of almost an old school, old technology, slot machines in a building, when people are gambling? Every time I listen to talk radio and sports radio, every other commercial is for sports betting.
Right.
It makes me wonder if they really can project the revenues they think they're going to get accurately.
That's an excellent point, Micah. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize your involvement in the committee that is standing against this. You've been a faithful participant. We appreciate it. We understand that this fight, while centered in Northeast Indiana, really flows across the state. And your research has been invaluable for us to make our case. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you. But you're exactly right. It is no secret that bricks and mortar casinos are declining in popularity for the very reason that you said. If I can pick up my phone and gamble,
Right.
or sit at my laptop and gamble, why would I want to go to a bricks and mortar facility? Now, I understand that some people go because it's fun. I understand that. And I'm sure that there are many people who feel maybe a little odd to oppose a casino opening in New Haven when they drive to another location and gamble. That is far different from the devastation that occurs. As you pointed out, I think you said 50% of the winnings of the
Yep.
casinos come from the
Problem
repeat
gamblers.
gamblers. And I have heard horror stories about people that have been in a casino and they watch people at the slot machines and they're like zombies. They just
Yes.
put the money in and for hours and hours and hours. Those are the people that we need to be mindful of when we're looking at the devastation. We heard from a pastor in the Rising Sun area that told us about situations where he's had to bail out his parishioners because they've been sucked into this whole gambling thing. You don't have to look very far to see how bad it is. And so I would say to those who are proponents of this for whatever reason, if I would just ask that if you are a Christian, if you have a faith base to your whole character, just ask the Lord if it's time for you to be your brother's keeper in this situation, because these people are absolutely addicted, and we just need to, that's where the additional $3 for every dollar of revenue that comes in, those dollars are spent on helping these families, putting these families back together again if possible. And we all know the fallout. If one family is shattered, the ripple effect that has. So I would just give the admonition again, the challenge. Ask the Lord if this is time to be your brother's keeper. Now I have people say, well, people are addicted to alcohol and we don't shut all the bars. I understand those arguments. However, we can, just because things are happening like that in other areas, this is a place where we can say we're not going to expand the harm. So I guess that's the best case I can make from a moral side of things. And you mentioned the local, what the local government has, what their involvement is. They're the ones that the casino approached to begin with, thinking that if they could get the city government of New Haven on board, that this would be a slam dunk. And unfortunately, to this point at least, I think the city government is being distracted by shiny baubles. I know several of the people who are in government and supporting this. They're not bad people. They just are blinded to what they're attempting to promote.
I think a lot of people, and probably even a lot of our listeners, may go to a casino once or twice a year. They may go get a nice meal. They may have some fun, spend $20 or something at the slots,
Yeah.
or $50.
Or go to a show.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really not the type of that's not where the casino makes their money, and
Right.
that's not the problem we're talking about. And if you're one of those people, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not who you need to remember. Years ago, I
Right.
was going to tell you this, Kathy, on the phone. Um, I was part of the Congressional Research Commission on Gambling back in the 90s, and I was working for the Indiana Family Institute. Dr. Dobson was part of that. We went to Chicago, Bill Smith and I, and it was the Midwest hearing, and we did not have casinos in Indiana yet. They wanted to hear about our testimony on the lottery and other things, but Missouri did. And I met with our Family Policy Council director in Missouri, and I remember him telling us a story with Bill and Dr. Dobson and myself sitting at a table. And he said he went to a casino in Kansas City, and he started asking. No, he went to a pawn shop at Kansas City because where you have casinos, you have paycheck loan places pop up, you have pawn shops pop up, which tell you a lot. And so he went to a pawn store, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to a hearing." Started asking the guy some questions. At first, the owner was very hesitant. Then the owner kind of realized what the guy was talking about. He said, "Hey, come back behind the counter with me." Took him back into a room. The guy pulled out a jar of gold teeth. And he said, "I have people come out of the casino who lost their life savings, went in their car with a pair of pliers, pulled their tooth out, and sold it to me for $20 so they could try and win back their losses," which they don't. But they chased their losses, and he had a jar of gold teeth where people had pulled their teeth out to try and get the money back that they lost, drawn out of their savings, drawn out of their accounts, didn't want to go home and tell their wife they lost everything. That's the person that you can't forget. That's the
That's right.
person that winds up on welfare or divorce or drug or suicide or commits a crime
Or in prison. Yeah.
in prison.
Yeah,
So,
you're exactly right. And for those, again, back on the economic arguments that point to this as a way to revitalize or invigorate the town of New Haven, I would only point to the fight we had here in Fort Wayne 15 years ago. We were able to put that aside. We beat back the casino effort. Look at all of the development and the good things that have happened in downtown Fort Wayne since then. Now, I don't know if they would have happened anyway if a casino had located in Fort Wayne, but I'm guessing that probably not, because the businesses and the projects and the development that's happened are family friendly and just miles and miles away from the casino mentality. So we can look back at that and say, we do not need a casino to revitalize a town. New Haven has an excellent project that's in the works, and that is for a project called Fields of Grace. And this is going to be a huge sports complex for kids. And kids will come in from all over the country and play baseball and basketball tournaments and that kind of thing. That is right across the road from the proposed casino site. So there are many opportunities if we just look beyond the immediate shiny bauble here. You know, this is an immediate payoff, which is what casino gambling is all about. If we look beyond that and think of the positive things, the good things that we can grow New Haven and other areas on the basis of those good things, let's do that. Let's not destroy the character of a small town that the residents have moved there in some cases because they want that small town atmosphere. And some of the people that are will be forced to be neighbors of the casino have that property has been in their family for years, back generations, and they are heartbroken. If you talk with them, the tears come to their eyes, thinking about what can happen to the legacy that's been handed down to them.
Well, not all things that are labeled economic development are equal in benefit. So Well, Kathy, I would assume too it would be good for people to call their state representative and state senator about this,
Yes.
because if it comes to the committee or to the floor, all 100 House members and all 50 senators will vote on this. So if you're in Evansville, or if you're in, Logansport, call your legislator and say, I don't think we should change this. I don't think this should be moved to Fort
Absolutely.
Wayne, because, I mean, where I am, I get to Fort Wayne in 2 hours, and I go there often. So this affects me, affects others. So call your
interestingly,
legislator.
Absolutely. Call your legislator. And I'm going to be so bold as to encourage people to contact a legislator that we've heard is going to be a proponent of this and maybe even file the legislation. And that is Senator Denny.
Senator Andy Zay.
Andy Zay. I almost
Yes.
named the wrong
Yep.
senator. Please forgive me. I'm old. So, yeah, Senator Andy Zay. So just shoot him an email. You can go to the Indiana government website and find their contact information. But tell your legislators that you want to respect the wishes of the legislators that represent that area, because they've investigated this possibility and they know it's not good for their area. And just ask your legislator to support the position of the elected officials from that area, because they know what's best for their community.
Yeah, I want to publicly thank Senator Liz Brown for opposing this as well in that area.
Absolutely.
I know there are others, but and Andy Zay's a friend. He's a good guy. Be polite as you would with any legislator, whether they agree with you or not. Send a nice note. Just say, hey, this is my position. I really don't want this change. And you can find their information. You can find your legislator by Googling the Indiana General Assembly. It's in.iga.gov. And look that up. You can find your legislator, send them an email, or make a phone call. Appreciate you doing that. Kathy, thank you for fighting the good fight up there, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our website, saynocasino.com. And there's all kinds of information on that website.
And
Thank
again,
you so much, Micah.
Sure. We're talking about
Thank you,
the
Michael.
Coalition for a Better Allen County. They have a Facebook page as well, Coalition for a Better Allen County. You can check out their Facebook page and contact me if you want further information, and we can pass that on to you as well. But I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm Micah Clark with American Family Association. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and appreciate your joining us, and appreciate you praying about this issue as well, and about the upcoming Indiana General Assembly, where we're going to have dozens of issues we're dealing with, and it's just around the corner, just a few weeks away. So appreciate your support on that, and following us in our weekly emails where we update you on issues of the day. Again, I'm Micah Clark. Thank you for joining us.